Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to an article by Fox News that mentions Lara Trump, of course the daughter-in-law of President-elect Donald Trump, and current head or co-chair of the RNC, has announced she is stepping down as there's been chatter she may be getting appointed to the vacant Florida Senate seat. So just to break this all down, the reason there's an open Senate seat in Florida is that Senator Marco Rubio will be resigning his seat to serve as Donald Trump's Secretary of State in his upcoming administration. So that creates an open seat in the U.S. Senate. And the way the rules work for the Senate is the governor of the state, which for Florida it's Governor Ron Desantis, needs to appoint a interim senator, and it's up to that senator whether or not they want to run for re-election in the next regularly scheduled election, which will be 2026. But DeSantis needs to appoint someone to fill that seat until that time. And Lara Trump announcing she is stepping down as RNC Co-Chair could potentially be a sign that DeSantis may be choosing her to fill Rubio's seat. So Lara Trump announced on X that she would be stepping down as co-chair of the Republican National Committee, citing that during her time the RNC had 3 distinct goals and they had all been accomplished. She started her journey as co-chair in RNC in March 2024, but has been widely discussed as she is considering her potential options as father-in-law President-elect Donald Trump once again takes the reins in the White House. Saying, quote, "With that big win, I kind of feel like my time is up." She said, "What I intended to do has been done." Trump only began her journey as co-chair back in March, yet she and many others in the RNC played a pivotal role in Republicans taking control of the Senate while maintaining a narrow House majority and, of course, helping to get President-elect Donald Trump elected. There has been a lot of talk that she may be considered as a replacement for Florida Senator Marco Rubio, as Trump has tapped him to be the next Secretary of State. Last month, Lara Trump told Fox News' Sean Hannity that she would, quote, "love to serve the people of Florida and would love to consider filling the seat if asked." On Sunday, Trump discussed with Howard Kurtz how much of an honor it would be to even be considered. She said, quote, "Certainly we've all had an opportunity over the past 9 years to fully involve ourselves in politics, to understand the American people, what they want, and we've all been residents of the state of Florida now for over 3 years," she said. "If that's something that's put in front of me, it would be a true honor." May Musk, mother of Tesla CEO Elon Musk, is one of many who are also pushing for Lara Trump to replace Rubio, saying, quote, "The Senate is an old man's club. We desperately need a smart, young, outspoken woman who will reveal their secrets." She posted on X. Lara Trump is 42 years old. Elon Musk seemingly agrees with the mother's sentiment on X, saying, quote, "Lara Trump is genuinely great." And Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina said on Hannity that he would, quote, "would be like the over-the-top excited and the Republicans could not do better than Lara Trump." But as I mentioned, ultimately, it's up to Florida Governor Ron Desantis, who is reportedly being considered to potentially place Pete Hegseth if he's not able to get the Senate nomination. He will be the one choosing Rubio's replacement. And Michael Whatley, chairman of the RNC, will continue to serve as chairman. So there's a lot going on here. The main important things to know for this situation is that Lara Trump sounds like is certainly in contention to be chosen as the senator to step in for Marco Rubio. The question is, will Ron DeSantis choose her? And there have been some reports that Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis have been talking. I do believe this upcoming weekend there is an Army-Navy football game happening, and I believe Trump and DeSantis both will be traveling to the game together, so I'd be shocked if this news does not come up as a potential talking point between the two. What happens with the Pete Hegseth nominations could also be an indicator of how things go. It may be a situation if Hegseth doesn't have the votes to get confirmed. Ron DeSantis has been mentioned as one of the names that could potentially jump in and replace him in that, and that might be a Trump appoints him in favor of DeSantis appointing Lara Trump to the Senate. That could be a situation that unfolds. But even if Hegseth does get confirmed by the Senate, that doesn't guarantee DeSantis won't appoint Lara Trump to the Senate anyway. It really, echoing a video I did last week about who will replace Marco Rubio, which I will link at the end of this video as well. This situation really just comes down to, does Ron DeSantis want to appoint someone to this seat that will run for re-election in 2 years, or does he want to appoint someone that he knows will not run for re-election and position himself to run for this seat when it's up in 2026? And that's the biggest question. On the Wikipedia page for 2026, the U.S. Senate election in Florida, There are a bunch of candidates listed. One of them has expressed interest already. That's Ashton Hayward, the former mayor of Pensacola, Florida. There are some others as well, such as Jay Collins, the state senator, Casey DeSantis, the first lady of the state of Florida, obviously Governor Ron Desantis of Florida, Corey Mills, a U.S. representative from Florida's 7th District, Ashley Moody, the Florida Attorney General, Jeanette Nunez, the Lieutenant Governor of Florida, Jose Oliva, he's the former Speaker of the Florida House of Representatives, and James Altmaier, Chief of Staff to Governor Ron DeSantis. But I think it would be, aside from maybe Ron DeSantis, the highest name recognition out of any of these potential candidates is undoubtedly Lara Trump. And it certainly has been shown that Lara Trump is interested in filling this seat. It all just comes down to what is Ron DeSantis' intentions. If DeSantis has no interest in running for the Senate in 2 years, I think he could appoint Lara Trump, and it's kind of like an olive branch with the president-elect after the 2024 Republican primary, where they did run against each other, and the campaigns did get very heated. This could be an olive branch by DeSantis and Trump at kind of mending things and not really provoking any more fights between the two. But if DeSantis does want to run for this race, then it's more likely than not he would not appoint Lara Trump, as she would stand a very formidable foe to his chances of winning this seat. So that all depends. As for the race itself in 2026, this is where things get more into my area, the electoral side of things, how I think the race will go. Well, actually, we can look back at the 2024 U.S. Senate map for a pretty recent example. Republican candidate incumbent Rick Scott defeated his Democratic challenger Debbie Mercarsel-Powell 56% to 43%. And if you were watching the polls going into this, actually, Rick Scott way outperformed the polls. Some Democrats are even feeling optimistic that this race might be very close, as the polls only had Scott leading by about 4 to 5 points going into Election Day in Florida, which was supposed to be a likely to safe Republican state. And then what happened was Rick Scott ended up getting almost the same percentage of votes that Donald Trump did at 56% to 43%. And I think coming out of the 2024 elections, we can cement the fact that Florida is more likely to be a safe Republican state than a competitive Republican state. So in the 2026 Senate map, right now I have about 44 Senate seats that I am very confident will be won by the Democrats. About 50 I'm very confident will be won by the Republicans. Then I have 6 Senate seats in gray that I think in some way could be competitive. I'm not saying Florida could be competitive, but for the sake of this video, I did put Florida in gray just to give you a little bit more emphasis on how I think the state will go. So the criteria of the map is solid red or blue is 15% margin of victory or more. Likely this like lightish red color, the lightish blue color is going to be 5% to 15%, and 5% or under is going to be a lean color. So for instance, in Florida, if it's this color, this would be under 5 points. This color would be under about 1.5 points. Whereas on the Democratic side, same thing. Lean would be under 5, but above 1. Tilt would be under 1. As for the state of Florida, a 13-point win back in 2024, just a few weeks ago. I think right now for 2026, history does suggest that 2026 should be a good year for the off-party not in charge, which would be the Democratic Party. However, Florida did buck this trend in 2022, where it has been becoming more and more of a Republican state. I don't think voter turnout will be as high, but we did see Ron DeSantis win by 20 points in 2022 when he was the governor. Yes, Senate and governor elections are very different, but I think Florida is a state that's kind of bucking a lot of national trends and just becoming more and more Republican by each election. I would not be shocked one bit if it's Lara Trump versus just a generic Democratic candidate. I would not be shocked to see Florida be a Republican seat by over 15% margin of victory. You can make the argument that Florida maybe should start as a likely state if it is that 13% again, but come 2026 with Lara Trump as the candidate, I think Florida would probably be a safe Republican state and one the Democrats would not have much of a chance at winning, in all honesty. So Lara Trump, I think, makes this seat a safe Republican seat. I'm not too sure if another Republican candidate is a nominee, if it would really dip below this. Maybe I'd put it as likely Republican, but for now, with Lara Trump running, I'd put it as safe Republican. And just to show you some examples of what I mean by this, looking at the Senate map, in 2022, Marco Rubio, when he was last up in this race, he did win by 16.4%. So there is precedent for a Republican winning by over 15% of the vote in this seat. And Rick Scott, who's often the more unpopular of the two senators from Florida, as I mentioned, did most recently win by 13 points. So there's certainly precedence for the Republican winning by over 15% in 2024. And I think with Lara Trump as the candidate, Republicans will do that. So that's just some news I have for you on this race. I'll be keeping the situation monitored very, very closely, and I'll post a video if I see any updates in the near future. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in a future video. That will do it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please remember to give it a like. And if you really liked it, please remember to click the subscribe button and make sure you turn post notifications on so you always get notified when I post a new video. That way you never miss one. Also, please remember to share this video with your friends and family if you really like the video. And remember to stay tuned because I'll be posting at least one video every single day leading up until Election Day. So I'd really appreciate it if you keep coming back and watching those videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in a future video.